Oh, hey, how's it going? Happy Friday. Thanks for starting your weekend off right with Nerdy by Nature. While you're listening, feel free to crack open a craft beer. Sit back, relax, have some fun. Did you hear about our website? LetUsGetNerdy.com. There's show notes, fun facts, links, visuals, everything you need from today's show, so you too can enjoy the episode. In case you missed anything, it's all there. All of your senses will be happy again. While you're there, feel free to subscribe via the web, Android, or iOS, whichever your heart desires. Feel free to continue the conversation on social media. After the show, beginning, whatever, hashtag, have some fun. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Search us up. Let us get nerdy. It's that simple. All right, we stretched our thumbs, got our controllers and dice ready, got our beakers out. Let's get to it.
I've seen bars where they're like arcades for adults, but you had to pay for the machines. Like, what if the machines were just free and you just drink?
I'm okay with that. Welcome, Nerdy by Nature, here with you. Special episode today. It's exciting. Big Blue Bubble with Mark. He's an industry vet for 16 years of experience, senior game designer, leading art, story writing, level design, and the list goes on. He loves comic books, action figures, has a knockout smile. Wham pow. There you go, Mark. Thanks for taking the time. Much appreciated.
Well, thanks for having me.
No problem. For some reason in your bio, you have hashtag Spider-Man. Was that your idea, or did somebody coin you as Spider-Man, or is this just your thing because you like comics?
No, I like comics, and Spider-Man was really like the first superhero that I got into as a child. Even going into art school, I based like projects on Spider-Man. I can't remember exactly what they were, but there was always a lot of that going around. And I was on the football team for like, one year in high school, and Spidey was the nickname that caught on. So yeah, I just kind of carried it with me.
Cool.
And Cosmic Spidey is my avatar name for a lot of games. So if you look me up on Xbox, it's like Cosmic Spidey. So that's everywhere.
Is it all, do you get to hundreds of hours of play on the comic book games, or do you kind of try and diversify things a little bit?
Oh, I diversify things. I like to play a lot of different things. So yeah, it depends. I go through phases. Don't play a lot of sport games anymore, but everything else pretty much is fair game. Kind of into shooters right now.
First person, Call of Duty?
I'm playing Sniper Elite 4.
Okay. Haven't got into it yet. My 11-year-old, he's all over this stuff.
VR is a good thing to try out. It's fun. I don't know for everybody if it's necessarily worth the expense at the moment where it is, but I'm loving it right now. But I've got enough things to keep me distracted, so I don't know if I only had VR, if there'd be enough there to keep me busy. Being a game designer, you kind of have to, play with everything and kind of dip your toes in the water.
You got into Oculus Rift at all? I know I've done Steam VR, which was kind of rudimentary, I guess, for graphic-wise. It's getting better with Skyrim, and Sony's getting into Fallout 4 and stuff like that.
Yeah. Fallout 4, even though I've already completed it like the normal way, I am interested in trying the VR version, even though I got a rule where I don't go back to games.
Yeah, don't play them again.
I know once I finish the campaign mode of something, it's usually just forward onto the next one. There's too much. Like, I have a catalog of, like 20 games, 40 games, whatever that is at home, not including what's on Steam, just sitting there waiting to play. So I don't really have the time to go back and play others.
No. Yeah, that's kind of brutal when you get all these games. I did that at the Steam sale not too long ago, and I got 5 or 6 games, had a gift card for the birthday. It was awesome, and then I haven't touched one yet.
Yeah, that's where I got Sniper Elite, was the Steam sale.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
cool.
I was waiting for that to go on sale, so I was hoping for that sale to go on. But my Steam library is actually not as big as most people here, because I had a Mac for the longest time, and there wasn't a whole lot of video games for the Mac that I'd want to play. But now that I got a super-powered PC, so I can run my my VR system, or my VR set, which is HTC Vive.
Oh, cool.
And
that'll do the trick.
So yeah, that's awesome. That's what I plan on doing tonight, actually.
Hopefully.
Yeah, some beers and some VR. Not at the same time. If you're going to try VR, especially the Vive, I'd recommend Super Hot. That game is pretty awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you make it?
No.
Didn't know if that's why.
No, I did not.
Recommendations there. You're into VR, which is cool. You're also in a Big Blue Bubble. Been around for a while. 16 years, as we mentioned. It's kind of crazy.
It's been a long time. Has it been that long already? It was like 14, might be 16. I don't know. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Stepping back maybe to Y2K era, you had this idea of game designer in your head, Was there any inclination that you want to do this early on or back then? Or did you just kind of wake up one day and say, this would be cool?
No, it's as far as getting into game design, it's something that I think a lot of people who play video games, who enjoy video games, they want to do, right? They're like, oh, I got a cool idea for a video game. And it's one of those things that I was like, yeah, that's a cool thing to do, but never actually thought that was a job that was attainable by, normal men. That's just something other people do.
Sure.
Right? That's just their job. Like astronauts and actors. That's somebody else's job. That's not your job. Right? So, when I went into the industry, I actually came in as an artist, as a 3D animator. 3D animator and 2D pixel artist, which are like two opposite ends of the spectrum of art. But I was doing both of those when I started in the industry. And right away, I started to get into game design. So I was kind of doing that as well, like pitching in wherever we could. Right. I started in a smaller studio. So that gives you the best opportunity if you want to get into game design, because smaller studios usually can't afford to have game designer that's all they do. Is they usually do something else.
Jack of all trades kind of thing. Enter in.
So that was a good opportunity for me to get in there, and that's a good opportunity for anybody who wants to get into game design. Is go there through a smaller studio. Unless you have experience as a game designer, most studios aren't going to hire you as a game designer. Right.
They want you to be established and just kind of go full tilt. You got to go somewhere small and take a chance on you.
Yeah. So go somewhere small, and for anybody who wants to be a game designer, go get in somewhere small. But get in as an artist, a programmer, QA, like whatever it is, like just get in the studio.
Sure.
And then once you're in there, work your way to game designer.
Kind of curious because you have San Fran, you have Vancouver, Toronto, huge with film and gaming, and then you have Big Blue Bubble, London, Canada.
Yeah.
Mobile gaming wasn't really thought of a few years back. It was mostly manufacturing. So you guys have things like, let's say, talent and devs and designers and specialized talents to come in, acceptance from the community, and even awareness. Have you ever had issues with Big Blue Bubble trying to get in London and get people pumped up and excited and be successful here?
Well, that's the thing. It is there's a lot of talent in the city, but there's actually a lot. We have a few video game studios in the city, so
right.
So people have been coming in here. And honestly, there is some trouble getting people to come from Toronto, right? There's the allure of the big city, which I know. I'm from Toronto myself. So, and I moved to London for work in the video game industry. So there is that to compete with. But when people do move to London and they do come work for us, they realize the benefits of being here. Cost of living's a lot cheaper.
Sure.
So you have to be making a lot more in Toronto to kind of equal out to have the same, I guess,
afford housing, I guess, would be the word I'd choose. The housing market jumped, but people, $750,000 can go so far.
Oh yeah, I have friends in Toronto who they're living in a condo where they're paying more in their monthly rent than I do for my mortgage, and I own a house here. Like I bought my house here for like $230,000, and it was like a corner lot detached house. It's a nice house. It was brand new. I can't get that in Toronto.
No,
I cannot. Like my mom in Toronto, her house is like a semi-detached, and the houses in her area are going for like $850,000. Yeah,
So benefits $200,000 or it's crazy. I bought a townhouse that was maybe 1,100 square feet on the East End. It was $81,000. It needed work, but that's you can't get half a lot there for that much.
So there is benefits to coming to London. That's what we tried to like. Big Blue Bubble is a great place to work because we're relaxed, we're chill. London's got a lot of the things that Toronto has. Like we're not a small town.
Right.
It's like we're kind of like London's kind of like a big city with a small town appeal.
Halfway, yeah.
So
a lot of stuff to do, that's for sure.
But no, I do get the appeal of being in the big city and being hesitant to move to someplace like London. But when they do come here, everybody's like really cool and really chill.
Yeah.
Especially working in the studio. Yeah.
People actually say hi to you instead of look down at the sidewalk all day.
Yeah. Nice. So it's not a bad move.
Big Blue being here for so many years, there's been success, number one in mobile gaming, I guess, in Canada.
Yeah.
It didn't happen overnight. Do you think it's culture, games, alien tech, or the force that got the success going for Big Blue?
The Force definitely had something to do with it. I think a lot of us is being in the right place at the right time, right? Like we started in mobile a long time ago, like before iPhone, right?
Right.
So that's where we started. And that was me and Dahmer, our CEO, president. He had the idea to go mobile when I asked him, hey, do you want to do some games on the side and just stuff for fun? And he took it to the next level, and he's like, let's just do this for real. And I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Well, why the hell not? We also hire the right people, right? So it has a lot to do with the people, because this studio is nothing, right? The studio is the people and the talent you bring. Like there's like Big Blue Bubble on its own, it's nothing, right? It's just a name. It's the people that make up Big Blue Bubble.
Sure.
And
culture and family and all that.
Exactly. Like it's the talent that's here. We have great people working here, and I know people who work for other studios. All the studios I've worked for have been great, but I know I've heard stories from other studios where there's a lot of people, a lot of little cliques within the studio, and people thinking they're better than other people, and there's a lot of that studio drama. And
sure.
But here we don't have that. Like we're pretty laid back. Everybody's pretty cool with each other.
It's nice you don't have the keyboards and people fighting over things, and they just kind of do games.
Yeah. We just, like, everybody loves what they do. Everybody communicates and talks it out and does fun things. A lot of people just hang out here too. Like when you come here, you'll make a lot of friends in the studio.
It's nice.
Right? So as far as like having groups, you will have your group. Like, hey, here's a group that does board games. Here's a group that goes out to movies. Here's a group that goes out for beers after work. But they're not exclusive. Like everybody's very welcoming to everybody else. It's like, yeah, you want to come do this thing with us? Yeah, come on over. Like everybody's really open and friendly. So
that's good.
And that is kind of like the environment that when we hire people, we kind of look for that in people. Like you can kind of tell if somebody's going to be a jerk. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Or if they're good people. And everybody we bring in here is good people.
Yeah, and if you're short one person on D&D night, then you can just be an NPC and have fun, and you can get the beers and games and everything all in one. Good.
It's a really good environment to work in.
Awesome. Be honest, Mark, I never really knew much about Big Blue Bubble years ago, but recently I went to Forest City Comic Con, learned about Singing Monsters, which was cool. That was the one from, I think it was Matthew was hanging out and had a good time, went to his booth, and it was a neat game. But further exploring, I got interested in finding things like Finder's Keep, the turn-based RPG, Pixel Dodgers, 8-bit, action-packed arcade-style game, and the Dark Incursions. Thank you. Yeah. Off the record, I typoed that one, so thank you for clearing that up. It's a robot fighting steampunk side-scroller. I think for the nerdy audience that Nerdy by Nature has, they probably drawn to that most, I believe. Do you mind kind of going over those games, gameplay, and what they're about?
We've done lots of games. Like that was a handful of what we've done.
Probably just a drop in the hat.
yeah, it is. I think in total we probably have over like 60 titles that we've put out. Mind you, I think all the ones you named are our IP. Trying to remember what you named: Monsters, Dark Incursion, Finder's Keep, and Pixel Dodgers. So yeah, Dark Incursion. That's a good example of working at a smaller studio versus a bigger studio, where Randy, one of our artists here, he's a great pixel artist. He came on as an artist, and that's what he did. He did his art thing. He did a great job at it, and then he kind of really headed up this idea of Dark Incursion, and so the art is his, and the concept, I believe, is his too. But that's something you don't necessarily get an opportunity to do at a bigger studio, right?
No.
Like present an idea and be like, hey, I got this idea. How about we do this? And you let me run with it. And we're like, yeah, sure. like go for it. Give it a go. And yeah, not everybody, not everybody can get all their ideas done all the time because, there's, we're a studio or a business. We have to get things done.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's the opportunity for something like that is just, it kind of speaks to the benefit of working at a smaller studio versus like some giant studio like Ubisoft.
Right. Montreal, I think.
And Toronto.
Toronto, yeah.
Both.
They're all over the place.
Yeah. Again, great studio, but it's huge. I understand. Like, it makes sense, right? When you got like thousands of people working at your studio.
Trying to get through to Ubisoft executives saying, hey, guys, I got a great steampunk game. What do you think? And then you're right here on the floor, and timing works. Good idea. Run with it. Have fun.
It's everybody's opinion matters. It seems to matter more in a smaller studio. They have more impact. Like everybody's opinion has more impact
Right.
in a smaller studio. So that's a great thing about it. My Singing Monsters that you mentioned as well, it's been going on for over 4 years now, I think.
It's pretty big for a mobile game.
Yeah, that's our biggest title to date. Like it's doing like really well and still doing well. So for a game like that to be doing like to keep building a fan base and keep doing well for 4 years kind of speaks to the talent behind putting such a project together. So
I'd say so.
Yeah.
What's the usual life? Do you know industry standard for a average game on mobile? Is it a couple months, a year?
That's
too
the
hard
thing.
to
It's
say.
As the like if you look on the App Store, there's so many games. Like you get buried, right? Like
Right.
first part is getting noticed. I'm pretty sure there's tons of great games on the App Store. They're just getting buried, and it's like every year I'm pretty sure that stat changes of what counts as a successful game. Like you can probably have a game that comes out like I don't know, somebody puts out the next Flappy Bird and it just like makes $1 million in a day, and you're like boom, success, and then it's gone the next day or whatever.
It's
right?
an awful game.
So
Drives me nuts.
it's hard to say. There's huge fluctuations.
I guess it could be a day, it could be a while, but 4 years. I'll take
4
that
years is
as
a long time.
one of the
It's
better
great. Yeah.
longevity wise. Like a grandpa in the App Store, so to speak.
Yeah. But we keep getting like new people coming to the game, so the audience keeps growing, so which is great, and it's got a huge following as far as like the age range. Like we got 5-year-olds playing and 65-year-olds playing and everything in between, which is great, right? It's great that we were able to put a game that can touch so many people and have the impact and so many people enjoy it. That's not easy to do.
No, if you can hit that broad age range and have something that's not terribly simple, but simple enough for everyone and some complexities in there to make everybody happy, keep them engaged. It's tricky.
Yeah. And as far as the other two, Finders Keep, it's done all right. Pixel Dodgers is fairly new. I'm not exactly sure how well that one's doing just yet. We didn't put that out too long.
Kind of neat though, 8-bit.
Yeah.
Retro thing going. Is there any particular game, Big Blue, that's kind of helped you grow as designer? Is there anything that you can kind of come up top of mind?
As far as that in particular, we got some cool stuff coming out that I can't actually talk about. That's it's going to be really cool. You'll start seeing something later this year for one of them, and then maybe next year for another. And next year one should be pretty bbig. So that's exciting.
That's kind of challenged you, I guess.
Yeah. So it's hard sometimes to be working on these things and you're like, I can't tell anybody, but I really want to. You want to talk about it, you want to post like, oh, look, this cool thing, especially when you get a piece of artwork from an artist and you're like, oh, this looks awesome. You just want to share it. You're like, hey, look at this. And he's like, I can't. You can't. You got to keep that. You got to keep it all secret.
I guess part of the business part, you don't want anybody kind of copying your idea before the title ships.
Yeah.
All that, those NDA, non-disclosure agreements that you have to sign so everybody's happy, nobody gets sued.
Yeah.
That's the last thing you want to do.
But as far as working on games here, like in the, we've done a few interesting things that I feel are helping grow as a game designer. One would be 24. We did 24, the mobile game, and it scored the first one scored like a 9.2 on IGN and won a BAFTA award.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that did really well. And what I liked about that one is primarily that was myself and one of our programmers, Bruno Matus, working on it. And later, Catherine Meyer came on and joined us. Slowly the project grew, but it originally was just me and Bruno. And we were challenged with this. We have to put out a game in a short period of time on mobile for 24, which was great because I knew I loved the show.
Sure.
So I threw together a game design, threw together a script, did some of the artwork myself, did a lot of level design. Between me and Bruno, we kind of figured out how we were going to make these games work, because when you're working on a tight deadline, and this is where the learning aspect came from it, is you have to put this game out in like 3 months, 4 months, tight schedule, from nothing, from scratch.
Wow.
So we got me and Bruno sitting at tables, like, okay, what can we do mechanics wise? How can we make that fun? And we do that and we repeat that process. What can we do? Well, how can we make that fun in the short period of time? So, and that worked out. So we managed to put something out that reviewed really well. Like I said, 9.2 BAFTA award. That was great. It got some great reviews on it. and so that was a great learning experience. It was like working under the gun, right? Like and
so from end to end, so from idea, folks at 24 said, "Hey, Big Blue game, 4 months, go."
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went down. And we did really well. So we got to do the second one. And the second one also scored really well. I don't remember. That one doesn't stick in my memory as much just because it wasn't the first, right?
Yeah, that's you get that romantic feeling, I guess, behind the first one and the shock. And but you know what? We did this one in 4 months, now 2.5. Piece of cake.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's what it feels like.
It was, but the second one turned out great too. And after that was Home Sweet Home was another one we did a long time ago. Which helped because we came up with a concept when it was like, how do we take that concept and make it into a game? Which was, the concept came into a meeting. It's like, oh, everybody's watching these home design shows and, like Trading Spaces and stuff like that. Like, and that was years ago. Right. And so it's like, look, we should make that into a game. We're like, okay, how do you make game design into, how do you make home design into a game? So we came up with the concept. It's like, okay, you're an actual interior decorator and you meet these wacky clients and they talk to you almost in riddle and you have to try to decipher. And the way them talking to you in riddle is almost like our way to say, you got to figure out what the client really wants.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it's more somebody says, in real life, they'd be like, I want this blue chair. I want a nice leather chair here and lights. And they're trying to describe to you what they want, but because they're not designers, they don't know how to describe it. So we were trying to gamify that and being like, okay, we got riddles. We got this guy that talks backwards. Well, like this person that talks in rhyme. We got this person that does this. So we have all these wacky characters, they're clients, and they ask for things in not a normal fashion at all. And you'd have to decipher what it is. You design their room, and then there's like this mini game later where you have to actually build it, where it's like a management. You have to manage your team to build it, and then you get rated on how well you did and how accurate you were. You get scored on how accurate you were in meeting the client's needs. So we managed to do that and do it fun, and that was a process. It's like, how do we get that across? Right? How do you, because there's a lot of things we take for granted in reality that you assume we're just, just make a game of that. And you're like, yeah, but how do you make that fun? How do you make that challenging? How do you make it so it's not impossible either, right?
Especially with all the games before, like SimCity and Tycoon games and all of those ones. They've already done that building sort of thing. And then you have a new concept, but you don't want to recreate or duplicate that. You want to be original and exciting, challenging.
Yeah.
Do that one in 4 months too?
No, that one took a little bit longer. I can't remember exactly.
I imagine it'd take a bit of work.
The detail, yeah. But that did really well for us. It's like we kind of broke open a new genre, right? With that design, like the way it was handled. It was nobody's else had done it like that before,
right?
And it did really well. And that was a PC title.
Okay, because most people, you think about mobile games and they can get racing or you can get the monsters, but there's a whole different audience. I think the casual gamer that gets into the interior design or business folks. It's not a bad idea. Of course, you'd say it's good. You thought of it. It's good. All these games that kind of come up with that you don't really know about. I see on the website there's 3 or 4, but you got a ton. You went over it a bit about end to end, but is there? This might be a little risque, but can you go from end to end? In kind of a high level from idea to title shipment, or is that terribly complex?
It can be complex. I'll try to simplify it, and there's also different ways of looking at it. Right, like one thing that people that don't work in the industry don't realize is, especially when working at a smaller studio, we don't always get the luxury of prepping everything we want, before we do the project, how we want it, or in the same timeline, right? So a lot of times is, okay, we have, 2-3 weeks, if that, to come up with a game concept, knock it out, try to figure out as many problems as we can, how are we going to make this work, try to figure out as much as we can, lay it out, do all the groundwork, and then get into that, right? And then that's working on a really tight schedule. And in those scenarios, things work a little different, right? Everything works at this super pace where it's like, okay, 1 week game design doc, the next week we're figuring out the any problems that might come around and kind of iron out the little details, and boom, the next week we're starting to program on it, and then the artists are starting at the same time as the programmers, and concepts are being done on the spot, so there's a lot of things going on all at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of exciting to work like that. I actually kind of enjoy it. It's because it's got its own challenges. But for our bigger projects, we do have the time to sit down and work on game design. That's usually where someone like myself would come in, where I'd write the initial concept, or I usually grab a group of people. I like 3 people, like me and 2 others. I like bouncing around ideas like that.
Sure.
It's a good little triangle. And depending on the project, there's certain people that I think are better to talk to about that type of thing. So we do our discussions. We plot out the ideas. Like, okay, I got it. And then I take all the ideas back. I write it into a game design doc. Then I present it back to the team. Okay, what do you guys think? Answer any questions. Try to figure out any problems. So we have a lot of time to iron out what we think the gameplay is going to be. And then we get programmers involved so they can do prototypes. And then we have artists, and they start their concept drawings for what the game is going to look like. And they do their research and being like, okay, what is, if we're doing a game show game, like how do game shows look, right? And you study everything from like Price is Right to Jeopardy, blah, 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 whatever that is, right?
Right.
So everybody's got to do their homework, and then everybody preps. And you're like, okay, we are starting now, right? So, and then we all have our milestones. We have our alphas, our betas, our golds. And so throughout the process, while we're making this game, there's a lot of meetings, a lot of talks. Things change because you'll come across problems that you didn't foresee, right? You could try to catch as many of those in the beginning, but you try to catch as many as you can, but along the way you'll be like, oh, that doesn't work because of this dumb thing I didn't think about before, and blah, 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 or somebody else totally poked a hole through your system, and you're like, oh. It's like, I hate you at the same time that you found that, but, I understand it has to be fixed.
Yeah, it's good that you did now instead of when the release, for sure.
So, no, we adapt, we do it, we fix it, and that's it. That's really simplifying things.
Because the small projects seem to be, you don't even write a line of code, and then the designers or artists are on top of things. So you're almost like they're both working out the ideas. Okay, this is how I see it formed logically. Okay, this is what you got to do. Walk from point A to point B, tap here, select there, swipe. Well, and then the designer's going, or artist is saying, okay, I'll draw this character. Here we go, and try to animate it.
Well, that's the thing is with smaller projects, a lot of time is if, I'm a designer, you're a programmer, I can just give you a gist of an idea. I was like, okay, we're going to this is going to happen something like this. For now, I need you to code this or something that can do this basic function, right?
Right.
And then while you're working on that, I'll nail out the details for the rest of the stuff. Like ideally, you'd have all those details to start, but when it comes to really tight schedules, sometimes you don't always have the opportunity to do that.
Right.
So
that's where it becomes a little intense and creative. And
yeah, I guess like if we're baking a cake, I'm like, I need you to start baking the cake. By the time you get to the frosting, I'll tell you what kind of frosting we'll need. Like, I can't tell you that now because I don't know.
Got it. Yeah, that's crazy. No icing, just hopefully it works out.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I know you can't get into too many of the projects they're sworn to secrecy. Got to respect that. But is there anything that you'd like to see Big Blue do or take on or accomplish in the next few years?
It's interesting.
I don't know if you had a chance to think about it.
No, I did. I haven't. But one thing that'd be interesting to try, which this is kind of a personal thing, it'd be fun to do something with VR. But VR is kind of tough to get into because VR is a commitment. That's a big commitment for a studio.
Sure. Expensive.
Yeah, because you make a VR game and there's not a lot of people out there that have VR sets, right? So to recoup that cost that takes to make a VR game, that's tricky, right? It's not like VR sets are expensive, so it makes sense that everybody doesn't have them, right? They're not accessible to everybody. You want a PC, you're going to need a really super powerful PC to get a good VR experience on that. PS4 is great in the way that it's a great entry level. Like, you get a PS4 VR and your experience is the same as mine. It's not like a PC VR where I have a better PC than you.
And the PS4 Pro doing some of that too. I saw at E3.
Yeah. So
cool.
The thing is, like, a lot of people have, Nintendo consoles, Sony consoles, Xbox consoles, but not a lot of people have Oculuses or Vives or even PS4 VRs.
Those are pricey.
Yeah. And but it would be really cool to try, and like I'm sure eventually we will if the industry keeps going in that direction, right? But we got to like everything else we've done, right? We got to choose the right timing, because it's not all about making cool things. It's about making sure people have jobs, right? And people can like
making money helps.
Yeah, and people got families to feed. We can't we're not the kind of studio that's just going to put that all at risk. We're really family oriented too, right?
Right.
Like we want to succeed, but at the same time we got to watch out for our people.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. You're talking about people, and I saw a little. I guess a schedule of Christmas in July, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
I missed out on pictures with Santa, but is there anything behind that why that was created? Is it the family atmosphere, or just trying to have fun in the office?
Yeah, it's just trying to have fun in the office. We do have like a social committee too, and we have a group of people that they work hard to put this stuff together. And like I was saying on Monday, I think we had it was like Pancake Day. Right. Cool. And it was all like Christmas sprinkles. We have this the Christmas in July theme all week.
Sure.
So we had like a gift exchange. We had like a cookie contest where people brought in homemade cookies and we judge on which ones we think are decorated the best or are the best tasting we had pictures with Santa. So we do a lot of that stuff. Like right now we're having, what was it? Iced hot chocolate?
I think so.
Something like that.
A huge pile of whipped cream on top. Look Christmassy.
So
it's a good deal.
We're missing out on that. So we might have some time after this interview to get some of that. But it's just stuff we put together to just get people to mingle. Like not too long ago, we drove everybody off to an escape room.
Oh yeah.
We put people in teams. We went to a Blue Jays game the same day, and that was great. Like you meet people that you don't always, because the bigger the studio gets, the harder it is to talk to everybody in the studio, right?
Sure.
So I never thought that I'd be at a point where I'd be like, oh, I don't know that person's name. But you see people walking in the studio, it's like, when did you start working here? Right? Like an email went out, but you're so busy, you're so into your own thing, and they're on a different floor, and you're
different floors especially. You forget that people actually work here.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So the events like that are great to bring people together because it brings everybody to one place, and you get talking to people, and you meet new friends, and you're like, oh, this is just more cool people to work with, right? So it's neat. Like I met I met some great people that have been, worked here for, a few months that I never got a chance to talk to because they're on the 9th floor. I'm on the 8th floor and we're not on the same project. So, but when we went to the baseball game, we did the escape rooms together and it was great. I think my team actually came in on top in the escape room score.
You got out on time?
Yeah. More thanks to them than me, but yeah, we did.
That's what it's all about. Teamwork, and you got the idea and they just kind of make it happen, right? Beside team events, do you have any advice on how to kind of crack the door open in game? You said going to small studio. Is there anything beyond that you say would be helpful if you're cracking into the industry?
It all depends on where you are, right? If you're coming right out of school, which I like to talk to students, kind of help them out.
Sure.
But you talk to some students and they're pretty, you get some really talented students, and there's the odd one that they want to do one specific thing. They're like, this is all I want to do. And I try to get to them is like, what you need to do is get into a studio, do whatever you can, because you're going to need a job. You're going to need to break in. Don't be picky at the beginning, right? Like, if you're a storyboard artist, but somebody looks at your stuff and be like, oh, we think you'd be great for character design because that's something that's also in your portfolio, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that. No, don't say no. Take that job, and work your way to what you want to do, right? You'll grow as an artist, you grow as a person. Take these opportunities. But yeah, smaller studios are a good way to get in there, to get in the industry. But the big studios too, they'll sometimes go into schools and just cherry pick the cream of the crop, right? Which kind of makes it hard for us little guys to get there. But there's a lot of opportunities for everybody. It is harder right out of school, but my suggestion is, regardless of where you are, if you want to get into video games, then get in there and then navigate to where you want to be in video games once you're in there.
Just figure out how to clean toilets to start and then work your way up.
Yeah, it rarely starts with that, but yeah.
That's the idea. Super simplified visual.
Usually if you're an artist, then you might come in doing something that's, maybe I just want to be a texture artist. Well, that's something usually for a bigger studio, where they have more specialized positions. So you come into a little studio and you get some experience under your belt, and then, you'll get to do some texture art here. But might start off doing something else. It's like that for everything. Just get in the doors. That's my key thing. Just get in the door. And if it's not exactly what you want to do, but you can still get in there and then
sure.
show them when you're inside that you can do it.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
And have some ideas, and hopefully you get a title out of it.
Yeah.
You never know.
If you're not an artist or a programmer, or you are, but you don't feel your skills are up to par, then, get in as, there's a lot of support roles. There's like, there's QA and customer service. There's, like associate producer. There's, these aren't just jobs anybody can do either, right? But sure. That might be another way to get in. Sure,
if you like it, but you're not the coder, you don't know.
Yeah, because
.NET or CS or whatever it is.
Yeah, because we have guys who started on QA, who's quality assurance, the testers, who they came in as that, and then they're like they became associate producers or they became game designers, or so there's a lot of opportunity to move up.
Awesome.
So
can you remind friends where you guys hang out on the internet? Big Blue Bubble.
Where Big Blue Bubble hangs out on the internet,
like our website, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Well, our website's bigbluebubble.com. I don't actually handle Twitter accounts. I've just favored it, so I can't actually tell you. But I'm sure if you search for Big Blue Bubble, you'll find them. You'll find us.
You could search Mark somewhere. Should be able to find you too.
Yeah, search either Mark Maia, MAIA, or Cosmic Spidey, one word.
Right. And you said you're on Xbox.
Yeah.
Try not to a huge influx. Hopefully not, but get some people that want to play.
Yeah, and if anybody does not respond right away, that means I probably haven't turned on my Xbox 2 months because I've been going through I'm in a PS4 mode or PC mode or something like that.
Awesome. I appreciate it. It's been a good chat, Mark. I learned a lot about Big Blue, what you're doing, and kind of behind the scenes. It's definitely an eye opener. That's for sure.
No, it was great. Anytime. I'm like Big Blue Bubble, myself, like everybody here, we're always more than happy to help and kind of like bring awareness to video games. Like we're here, and there's a lot of opportunity for people who want to do this.
Sure.
And so the more people that know about us and know about all the video game studios in London or all the opportunities there are to get in the industry, like that's even better. The more talent we get in here, the better.
For sure, especially in the halfway big town that we live in London. And not everybody knows that you're here. And unfortunately, a lot do, but I'm sure there's always room to spread the word.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Get to your iced chocolate for the last day of Christmas in July.
Yeah, last day of Christmas in July.
I'd appreciate it, and hopefully get a chance to stop by soon.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Well, like all good things, they must come to an end, my friends. Another show is in the books, and we had so much fun starting the weekend off right, just with you. Nerdy by Nature here with you, discovering the world around us, learning new things, and having a great conversation. Couldn't get to everything, though, in this episode, so please head over to letusgetnerdy.com, check out the show notes, the research, and all the extras. Just couldn't fit in today. While you're there, feel free to subscribe, Android or iOS. It's all good. If you want to say hi, leave a comment below the notes or click on Contact Us, whichever your heart desires. If you want to get crazy and social and right into it with us, please do. Head over to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, search up Let Us Get Nerdy, won't you? Hashtag, @mention us, say some cool stuff, or call us out. For Nerdy by Nature, thank you so much for listening. Take care.
Yo, this is dirty.